So let's talk about being in a den. I mentioned that in connection with camping, and a den should be a group of 6 to 8 kids. Why 6 to 8? Because fewer than that is at risk of not having enough synergy to have fun. I mean, if you have 3 first graders and only 2 show up, you might have a lack of fun at that event. On the big side of that, most of you, if you've ever invited 15 or 20 kids over to your house for a play activity and you only had one other adult with you, probably did that only once. And at the end of the activity, you said never again, because that's a lot of kids to watch over. So that's from the leader perspective. Trying to lead, more than 10, 12 kids, unless you really have a strong core of assistant leaders who can break into small groups when you need to, is really hard. And it's also hard for the kids because, especially at the younger levels, it's hard for them to relate to a group that's too big. It's inconceivable, and they find a hard time finding relationships, and therefore at the big end, big size of dens, they may not have a lot of fun. So that's why we want to have dens that are in that sweet spot of 6 to 8, maybe 10, who are working together to do things that are at their level and developing a group identity, again, being little citizens. Because that's what we want them to do. We want them to learn things together. We want them to achieve things together. We want them to develop and become independent as they advance through the Cub Scout years. And these are the levels. Lion is the kindergarten rank that Scouts will work towards. First grade are Tigers, second grade Wolves, third grade Bears, fourth grade Webelos, which stands for We'll Be Loyal Scouts. So that's an acronym. And then fifth grade is the Arrow of Light. And that is the year when they would be looking to join a troop. Now, they're different. They're vastly different between, kindergarten and fifth grade, except for where they're, similar in that, your fifth graders are still going to have short attention spans, but not quite as short as kindergartners. You're going to have kids, certainly in kindergarten and first grade, if you tell them on a camp out, okay, at 2 o'clock, we're going to go fishing. And they come up to you and they grab your arm and look at your watch and they say, it's 2:05. A young kid might say, you've lied to me. You said we'd go at 2 and you didn't. You have abused my trust. You are going to owe me money in therapy sessions for years. Whereas a fourth or fifth grader may look at that and go, adults, they really have a difficult time managing their time. Once again, late for the activity, I guess I'll need to remind him. So they're different. And when you have the whole pack together, especially at outings, you have to keep that in mind. For example, you all may decide to do a hike up Stone Mountain, like our pack is going to hike up on 9/11 this year again. And you have to remember that maybe the kindergarten and first grade kids aren't going to make it all the way up. They're certainly not going to go as fast as the fifth grade kids. So you may go on a hike somewhere and the fifth graders are going to do 5 miles, but the kindergartners may do 1.5 miles, and that's fine. That's enough for them. You don't want them to burn out because they became unhappy. Now, there will be, some things like hiking, it's done at all levels. You'll just do it at the right, the right length. Some things only done if they're really able to do it. And there's really, knife use is the primary one that you'll see. And some other ideas. I will share a dread epic failure that we had when we had our first pack camp out. And that is that we had the Scouts, we let them, which is the right thing to do what they like to do around a campfire at night. And namely, that's especially for the older kids, telling scary stories. Problem with that, when the fifth graders were telling back and forth different chapters of the tale of Crooktooth Jack, the zombie pirate of Lake Burt Adams. The first graders were a little bit alarmed by that because, again, they take things literally. They thought there was a zombie pirate that was going to come and get them, especially when they heard the very detailed and graphic stories of the fifth graders. So that created a challenge for us. Namely, we had some sleepless kids, and that was a problem. So we had to figure out what to do. One solution would be to tell the fourth and fifth graders, no scary stories allowed at campfire. It's not permitted, which that sort of solves the problem. Unfortunately, that makes Cub Scouting not fun for kids. It takes away the need for those older kids to find a channel for their expression to communicate. And they need that. They need to tell the story. When they get to be in a troop, they're going to have communications merit badge. And if they have done a 30-minute soliloquy about the taxonomy of zombies, that's going to be a great head start with how they can speak in front of a group. And frankly, we were glad that we came up with a solution, and those kids honed their stories about zombies, because at a troop campout some years later, actually as a district camporee, those scouts who had told zombie stories in Cub Scouts put on a merit badge class on Friday night of zombie preparedness with their own mock requirements and instructions about the different types of zombies, the types of first aid you might have to use if you come in contact with a zombie. It was a hit. They were very successful. We had no zombie attacks or injuries all weekend. So we love that. How did we solve the problem? We turned Saturday Night Campfire into an early show and a late show. The early show was the Boom Chicka Boom song and skits and jokes and awards and recognition and stuff like that. And, you know, nothing scary. Then during a half-hour intermission, people finish up their s'mores and snacks. And, you know, since it's getting 9:30, 10 o'clock anyway, the younger families are turning in to their tents. Campfire area is set away from their tents. And we encourage anyone who doesn't want to hear the story of Crooktooth Jack, the zombie pirate, to turn in. Then the kids, the older kids, they can stay up and tell the stories. And that worked. It worked great. And it allowed everybody to have a good weekend. So that's a little bit of mindset into the den. I'll get into nuts and bolts of leading dens in a bit. But up next, let's talk about the method of advancement. For some people, this is the method of Cub Scouting. FYI, the methods are methods, they're not requirements. So if you decide that you have a den and you just want to ride your bikes on all sorts of bike trails around Atlanta, and that's the main thing you want to do, and you don't care to earn the right, well, that's fine. If it's fun for kids, fun for families, and safe, you're doing Cub Scouting. For what it's worth, you may like to do advancement because parents are going to find that these handbooks are kind of like operating manuals for their kids, and it is going to relate sort of like, you know, every year it's a bit of an upgrade. So you get, you know, version 2.0, 3.0 of their operating systems as they learn more stuff through the years. Now, at all levels, there's no objective standard where you fail a scout. If a scout did their best, they have satisfied that requirement. You know, if there's a requirement of, you know, do curl ups for a physical fitness, it doesn't say, you know, do 15 curl ups in 60 seconds. It'll say, you know, demonstrate it or do it, and you do your best. So somebody who struggles, you encourage them to do their best. Somebody who does really well and absolutely is on top of it, really has the skill down, you encourage them to do as much as they can, and perhaps, especially at older levels, to help teach their fellow scouts who are struggling a little bit. So they should learn a lot by this. Families should like this, because in those rank advancement adventures are things that they want their kids to know. At this point, I should confess that maybe I have been in scouting for selfish reasons, because by our kids learning things like first aid and emergency preparedness and cooking, that means when I keel over and they're with me, they will hopefully be able to take care of that emergency better than if they didn't have the training. And since they know how to cook through their time in Cub Scouting and Scouts BSA programs, they know that they're able to, put on a decent meal. And my wife and I don't have to do all the cooking. So it's a win-win for us. And it's a win-win for every family, starting with just the fact that at just about every level of Cub Scouting, there's going to be an opportunity for the parent to say, Janie, to earn this adventure loop, you're going to have to do some chores for the next 2 weeks. We need to determine what those are, because every parent wants their child to do more to help around the house. It's where they need to grow. It's what they need to do. It should be more every year. You also want them to be safe, whether it's first aid, fire safety, finding your way around the neighborhood, reading a map, reading it on your phone, reading it on paper, reading it on, a placard in a park or at Six Flags. You want them to have some of those skills. Having, fitness opportunities like we would play in our den meetings. I would always break out the last 15 minutes of a den meeting after school as time for us to break away from the picnic table and go to the field and play ultimate frisbee with a cloth frisbee. So they had a good 15 minutes most days of running around playing ultimate. Some days I would show up and realize that these kids need a break, and we would have a full hour of playing ultimate. So we did a lot of stuff that was sports related, fitness related. So great stuff. And there's so many things that are going to make their lives richer. One of them that I have there as character building includes focusing on their family faith, also sometimes called duty to God adventures. And these are found at every level, Tiger through Arrow of Light. And it sometimes leads to confusion. I don't want there to be confusion. Some people along the way say, oh, we can't be in Scouts if you have these duty to God adventures because we're not members of a church. Or they may say, we just, frankly, we don't believe that there's a God. And that is shocking to some people, but if that's the family's belief, you can explore other aspects of it. Like you might ask them, what do you think about the Scout law, those 12 points? Just about every family is going to say, we like those. Those are great. And we also believe that we should be nice to other people. And, you think about that, that's the golden rule, which is common in a lot of different religions. So if that's the family's belief, that's the family's belief. The Cub Scout program and Scouts BSA program does not kick anyone out for lack of belonging to a religion or lack of stepping forward and professing belief in a certain religion. The organization loves religion, and you're going to get plenty of exposure to it, which will probably, hopefully, deepen the family's approach to what they believe, whether it's within the confines of religion or just generally making the world a better place. That's what we want to build, and we don't want to turn anybody away because we can't help a Scout if we turn them away from the program. So I hope nobody's confused by that element. So let's look at some details of the adventure program, the rank program. Lion is the newest program. It was a pilot program until fairly recently. It's the simplest. There's 5 adventures to earn the rank, and that's it. You do those 5 adventures. There's also extra adventures that are electives. You get loops or stickers for each adventure you do, whether it's required or elective. Now, there's a couple hiccups in the program. One is that the current rule that is written, and I think baked into Scout Book and Internet Advancement, is A kindergarten scout is not supposed to earn the Bobcat rank until after they've done Lion. And I'm going to tell you that this, I think, is an unfortunate consequence of the fact that Lion was a pilot program outside of sort of the Bobcat, Tiger, Wolf, the advancement structure. And so they put half of Bobcat in one of the adventures, and they recite the oath and law at the beginning and end of a lot of their adventure meetings. So they've done Bobcat, they just don't earn it separately because it was a pilot program. Now, how is this a hiccup? I think it's a hiccup because if you are teaching basic stuff like the oath and the law and the Cub Scout motto, the salute, the sign, and the handshake, if a kindergarten kid does that and they've satisfied the requirements, I don't know what the advantage is of telling that kindergarten kid, you have to wait until next year to earn Bobcat, or you have to wait until you've completed Lion to earn Bobcat. Because even waiting a couple months for a kindergartner is a long time. And it's sad if that family is at a pack activity where the first graders and up, the new scouts are all getting the Bobcat badge. If I'm a parent and I know my kid's done it, but he's in kindergarten and a Cub master saying you can't earn the Bobcat badge, I think that's an unfortunate decision. It's one we don't need to impose on people. In the Atlanta Area Council, when you have a recruiting event or when you report your recruiting numbers, your district executive is going to give you, a bag of Bobcat patches for all your new scouts. They're going to give them also for the kindergarten scouts. So you'll have the patches that you can award even for your kindergarten kids. And I think that's the right thing to do. For those who say, oh, but they'll know so much more as first graders about Bobcat, it'll be a more meaningful experience. Sure, it's also more meaningful as a fifth grader. And every year in Cub Scouting, you're probably going to be reviewing those things and discussing the oath and law at various times. So yes, they'll evolve, but if they've done the requirements, let them earn the badge. Second reason why I think it's not as part of the Lion year is they wear a t-shirt, so there's no obvious place to sew the badge on or pin the badge on. My comment on that is put it on anywhere, just pin it on, and then when they get the blue shirt with the pocket and there is a place officially for that Bobcat patch, you'll have a place to put it, but let them earn it if they've done the requirements. Second concept is that kindergarten kids aren't supposed to register and start until school starts. So, okay. But please, if you're having summer fun events, getting to know families, going to a parade, going to fireworks, having a swim party at a safe lifeguarded pool, doing a cookout or picnic, go ahead and invite the rising kindergarten families. You can attend as a scout who is planning to join or considering joining. So get to know them, bring them in as part of your pack, and also help discern who might be your Lion leaders or assistants or co-leaders. So enough about the Lion struggle there. Tiger, Wolf, and Bear gets simple, 7 adventures, and you get the rank badge as long as you've also done the parent safety exercise and the cyber chip, which is sort of an online stranger danger exercise. There are 6 required adventures that you have to do, plus 1 elective that you choose from, probably going to be something where one of your parents says, ooh, I know all about that. I would like to do that art exercise or this science exercise. I really can make this come alive. But if you want to do all the electives, go for it. And you get loops every time you do an adventure if you have packed budget for it or if you have the parents contribute to buy the loops. Webelos scouts in the 4th and 5th grade, they don't get loops, they get pins. They put them on that little tricolor Webelos pin that is actually pinned onto a scout's shoulder, or they can be put on a hat. And it gets a little bit easier because there are fewer adventures. It's 5 required for the 4th grade year plus 1 elective, 4 required for the 5th grade Arrow of Light year plus 1 elective. For those who used to be in Cub Scouts, remember how it was before 2015. Back then, if you joined in the 5th grade, you had to earn the Weeblos badge and then get the Arrow of Light. Now, no longer do you have to go back and do the 4th grade badge. If you join in the 5th grade, you just do the Arrow of Light Adventures. You don't have to go back in time and earn Weeblos. This is a great thing because now a 5th grader isn't going to feel like, oh, I have to be in, remedial Weeblos activities for months until I catch up with everybody. And that'll allow us to bring more scouts into troops and enjoy that fun. But wait, there's more. If you wonder, is there a badge for that? Why, yes, there is. So there's lots of different awards that scouts can get, some of which tie into actual handbook adventures, some of which are completely separate, like one I'll pitch to you right now. I encourage you, if you're going to Truist Park for a ball game, stop by the scout shop, buy a bunch of recruiter patches, and encourage your scouts to recruit their friends to join the pack. Why? Because there's a badge for that. So if your kids are motivated by a badge, let them earn the recruiter patch, let them know that that is something that they can do. And that's only going to help your den and pack grow and thrive. But there's lots of different awards, and I'll have links about that after the program is done when I send out an email. Now, here is, sadly, Cub Scout advancement isn't all fun and learning and adventure and activities. It also has record keeping. At the very basic micro level, if you're a den leader and you're doing adventures in den activities, you have to know, what did I do on that day and who showed up? Just the basics. So there's different ways to do that. You can look in the back of the handbook and mark every scout's handbook and keep the records there. You can have a loose leaf binder or a spiral notebook. You can have a spreadsheet that you use, or you can use online tools, including a tool called Scoutbook. And that is a free software program automatically provided by the BSA that you can set up and operate to keep track of your registered scouts and what advancement they've done. Some units use that, others will record their rank advancement through something called Internet Advancement 2.0. That's on my.scouting. I will tell you, neither works perfectly. There's always a glitch. That's just the way it is. And sorry, facts are facts. But for rank advancement, but not for adventure loops and pins, it is required by scouting to submit an advancement report through either Scoutbook or Internet Advancement 2.0. And like I say, there will often be a glitch, and you sometimes have to run the report a couple different ways to get everybody through, but eventually it will work. This is an area where if you're a den leader and you're super at teaching the kids and you love that, but you don't like keeping records, this is a great opportunity to find a parent who can't teach kids or it has a time conflict, but is willing to work, I don't know, at night and keep records and send updates to update people about what you did and how they can catch up. And that way you can get the word out about what you've done and what you're going to be doing in the future and how close everybody is to completing their rank advancement. Now here, I'm going to talk about another thing that blows some people's mind when I post this on Facebook Cub Scout sites. And that is, there are some people who think that because all of the adventures are found in handbooks from Lion through the Weeblos year 4th and 5th grade, that you can only allow scouts who are in that grade to work on those adventures. And I get the logic of that, because you look at, say, a second grader and they don't have a bike riding adventure. It's only in the Tiger handbook. So you might logically say, yes, second grader, you don't work on the tiger adventure because it's not in your handbook. But take a step back. Do we want a second grader who's never ridden a bike before to learn how to ride a bike? I submit that we want them to learn how to ride a bike, even if they're just learning as a fifth grader. And I'll also submit to you that the rolling tigers loop found in the Tiger Handbook is a pretty substantial adventure. You know, you've got to complete 5 out of 10 requirements. So if you're having an event like a back to school bike riding event, and you want to have an award that everybody in the pack can earn, I'm telling you, use the Rolling Tigers bike riding loop. Even though it's in the Tiger Handbook, you can share, and I'll show you how to do this in a bit, resources about how to earn that, so that your parent helpers can participate, and everybody, if they do the requirements, can receive that loop. Now, caveat, for rank advancement, only your first grade Tigers this August can count that as their elective towards the Tiger rank. Your second grade Wolf can't count that as their elective towards Wolf rank. They'll have to pick an elective out of their Wolf handbook. Your third grade Bears, same deal. But then again, your third grade Bears are the only level that has a fishing adventure. Does that mean fishing is only for third graders? No. Once again, let everybody, kindergarten through fifth grade, do a Bear Goes Fishing third grade handbook adventure, because they're going to learn about fishing. And hopefully that'll be something they enjoy for a lifetime. One other caveat, if say you earn the fishing loop as a kindergartner, when you get to third grade, do you get to then just check the box and say, I did this as a kindergartner, so that's my elective for the Bear rank? Answer, no. In part because you're going to have a stronger appreciation when you do it again in the third grade. And hopefully, if you liked fishing as a first grader or as a kindergartner, you will still like it as a third grader. So do it again. And if you didn't like fishing, well, then pick a different elective. Do something that you like doing. And that will make, just because it's in a different handbook, don't feel like you have to tell kids in the other grades they can't work on that or they can't earn it. It's simpler if you all do the same award, and it's going to be more meaningful for the kids and easier for you as a leader. Now, especially for things like loops and pins, like the Rolling Tigers loop or the Bear Goes Fishing loop, it's great to have a stash of loops so that right after the bike ride, right after the afternoon of fishing, the kids who did the requirements can receive their loops right there. They can put it on their belt or, pin it on their hat if they're getting a Weeblos pin, and, show it off. That's simpler for you because you don't have to say, next time the whole pack is together, we're going to award these 25 loops that we'll buy between now and then, because anyone who's been around Cub Scouting will know that the 25 kids who earned the loop, of that group, only 18 will show up at the next pack event. Now you have to carry the 7 to the following event, when only 4 out of the 7 will show up. Now you carry the 3 to the next event. And by that point, you've got a whole lot of complication. Life's a mess. It's not simple. It's not fun for the person who has to do it. So this is why having a stash of loops and pins and awarding immediately is the simpler way to go. Doesn't mean you can't have recognition when you do have your next pack event and you're all there, because even if they're wearing the pin or the loop, you can say, these 25 kids finished the Bear Goes Fishing loop and had a great time fishing. So, please come forward if you are a Cub Scout fisher person here in Pack 232. That can be a great thing for everyone because they like recognition. And parents. While there's kids who will ask you, is there a badge for that? And that's going to motivate them. You're also going to have that with parents. So this can be a way to get parents involved with their kids and with your den and with helping your den. number one, they're going to have to do some things at home, like the child safety exercises, the cyber safety. They're going to do those chores at home things. They're going to probably do the family faith work at home, that adventure at those levels. And so it's an opportunity, and you're also going to have parents who know something. So getting them involved in that way is going to be super critical. So here, if we were meeting in person, we would actually have some demonstration of earning the Bobcat rank, but I'm just going to review this and then talk about how we would have done it if we were in person. So the Bobcat rank that I've talked about, these are the literal words direct from the requirements. First two, learn and say with help if needed, Scout Oath and Scout Law. I love the way that's written because it eliminates anybody saying, oh, I'm sorry, that Scout can't earn the Bobcat rank because they've not memorized the Scout Oath yet. They don't have to memorize it. They learn it, they say it with help if needed. Are they going to memorize it by, a couple months into the program year, or certainly by the spring? Yes. Will they forget it over the summer? Yeah, probably some of them. So you're going to review it again when over the summer or when you come back to school. So Scout sign is 2 fingers, but unlike the Boy Scout sign, which is a 90-degree angle, Cub Scout sign is the arm all the way up in the air, like you see on the slide there. And what does it mean? Really, any 2 good things. Some people say it means help other people and obey the Scout Law. Some say it's the Scout Oath and Law. It definitely means listen. And switching to control of, maintaining control of your den or pack as you're having events. This is a great tool, especially if you use it in the intended way. And what do I mean by that? If you want everyone to settle down, just hold the sign up until everyone's holding the sign up and quiets down. There are some people who are a little too impatient for that. And when the sign goes up, you'll have people yelling, "Signs up!" which harshes the mellow of your scouting event and is downright rude. And let's not do that. Let everybody get quiet. And that's a calmer way for the scouts to control themselves, because they have to then be quiet by example and not be yelling at each other. Worse yet, you don't want parents yelling at everyone to be quiet. And I would use that. I mentioned playing Ultimate at the end of a den activity when I was a den leader. Did my kids make a lot of noise and start running around and getting off track? Yes, they did. And so I would put the sign up. I looked at it as a former Teamster. I clock in, I work an hour as a den leader, and I clock out. And if you want me to stand here with the sign up in the air, for 15 minutes, that's fine. I'm a union guy, I'm gonna clock out. But the other thing I did was, since I set up the expectation, the routine of we're gonna have 15 minutes of ultimate Frisbee at the end, if I was holding a sign up for a minute, I would then start putting a finger out, and then 2, and then 3. And usually at 2, the kids would look at me and go, "What are you doing, Mr. Bender?" And I would calmly explain to them, "You've just lost 2 minutes of ultimate time." Now they prize playing Frisbee. So that would then become their opportunity to sort of yammer at each other and say, "We've got to quiet down or we won't get to play Frisbee." And I was more than happy to let them motivate themselves by that, because I wanted them to control themselves, by following the example of being quiet, as opposed to becoming quiet because I'm yelling at them. That's not kind. So that's the Cub Scout sign. The Cub Scout handshake is similar. 2 fingers. It's like you're taking somebody's pulse on their wrist. And like the sign, what does it mean? Any 2 good things. Help other people, obey the Scout Law, Scout Oath, Scout Law. They all work. The Cub Scout motto, all your parents should know this. If they don't say to their kids, do your best on a daily basis, they need to go to remedial parenting school. So you want your scouts to know this too. And then the Cub Scout salute, 2 fingers on the eyebrow or the brim of the cap. It means respect. So you could teach your kids Bobcat just by lecturing each of those and, repeating the oath and law over and over and over again. Or you can have fun. You can, have games. You're lucky in 2004, I didn't have this movie maker in my pocket. And now if you have a bunch of kids in a den and you have parents there, encourage your parents to take video of their kids saying the oath, saying the law with help if needed, and encourage them also to share it on their social media. Share it, so that their friends on Facebook and Instagram can see their scout in action. Why? Because, hey, it should be a proud parent moment if their scout is saying the scout oath and the scout law. Plus, for you, the ulterior motive is that's getting the word out about your pack, your den, your kids. And there will be, in a lot of cases, other families who go, I didn't know you were doing scouts. That's fabulous. So take advantage of that. The parents aren't there. Take your movie maker out, take video of them saying the oath or the law or both, and send it to the parents and give them the same encouragement to share so that they can be proud of their scout. Do other games. You see on that picture there, they've lined up phrases of the scout oath. You could do the same with the scout law. If you have 12 scouts, you could take the 12 points of the scout law and see if they can silently line them up in order. For more fun, make it scouts versus parents. See if the scouts can do it faster than the parents. P.S. Parents let the scouts win. And that gets the parents involved. You could do it as a relay race. Again, scouts versus parents. You could, do a dice game. We had 6 requirements for Bobcat just a second ago. Roll a dice and see randomly, can you test the kids on that? So there's lots of ways to do it on the Bobcat page that I will send out by email. You will find even more games to teach Bobcat to make it fun to learn, because that's cool. Recognition is good, especially because this is their first rank badge, so it should be a big deal. We make it a big deal at Saturday campfire, at our October camp out. Here the kids are, suffering, having their dads paint their faces. The dads really liked that. The dads were a little less enamored of the fact that at the end of the painted face ceremony version we use, the kids turn around and paint a white line of, I forget what it's called. It's like parental discretion or parental judgment, so that their parents will be kind and forgiving as we scouts grow up. The parents are good sports. They were at a camp out, so they had all night to wash the paint off their face before they had to drive home. So recognition is fun. Make it big fun. Any questions about advancement?